and gentlemen, we're now about to land. Put your seat backs in the upright position, stow your tray tables, and fasten your seatbelts.
I traveled to Peru with 3 aspiring student journalists, eager to learn the art of telling stories with pictures, sounds, and words.
It takes 12 hours for the local villagers to travel down the Amazon River to the nearest city.
After 25 years as a television news reporter, I made a career change and began teaching journalism at Brigham Young University. I find I enjoy teaching the most when I get the chance to mentor my students in real-life situations.
Hey, here we are. We're here. I've got one out of my 3 students still. The other 2, I have no idea where they are.
Aside from a few minor mishaps, we began to explore a unique and wonderful culture living on the Amazon River.
Guantanamera, Vanilla bola bola.
Bring out the tarantula.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
The students and I hooked up with some volunteers with the Hope Alliance and the Provo Rotary Club, who came to Peru from Utah to deliver a shipment of wheelchairs.
We could have one group bringing them in and another group can actually unpack them in there.
My students did interviews, shot video, and took notes as we followed the volunteers. Brittany Wiscombe won first runner-up in the Miss Utah pageant during her senior year at BYU. I call her Miss America.
So what do you think?
This is intense.
She admits that slogging through the Amazon rainforest amid snakes and spiders takes a different skill set than those she used on the pageant runways.
Good classroom?
Oh, yes.
Kimber Holt knows what she wants to do in life. She began working toward a career in journalism at age 4.
People selling goods in this marketplace can make up to $5 American on a good day, giving them barely enough to survive.
Taking photographs, asking questions, and writing stories became her obsession during high school and continued in college. Someday I expect to see Kimber reporting for the network news. She has a drive and confidence I don't see in most students.
I can totally hide behind my camera and keep that as my way to keep myself apart.
Jody Tate reminds me of that guy that played the tornado chaser in the film Twister, but he behaves more like Jimmy Stewart.
Wait a minute. What am I doing?
A bit shy, slow to speak, and thoughtful, especially when it comes to looking out for Brittany, a budding romance that began during one of my class lectures.
BYU TV will tell you about our experiences here in Peru.
And how those experiences have changed our lives forever.
I've known photographer Dale Green for about 15 years. He's a close friend and the best photographer I've ever worked with. He always makes me look good. The 5 of us and our new friends climbed aboard these boats for a 75-mile ride up the Amazon River to a small village known as Villa Maria, where Kimber Holt learned you can take away more than you give.
I've never seen poverty like this, ever.
The children of Villa Maria don't know what they don't have. They enjoy playing games with the village visitors as they smile and laugh. But the village fathers and mothers do know what their children don't have. They want them to learn to read and write so they can have a better life in this changing world along the Amazon.
Ya sembró, ya cuidó. ¿Qué más?
The Hope Alliance brings much of what the name implies to the children of Villa Maria. They bring hope for a better future.
I think that the children are probably just overwhelmed to see anything come their way that's different, because as you can see, they live in a culture where they can't really go anywhere, so it's amazing feeling probably for both of us.
The 24 desks the visitors built for the elementary schoolhouse will help the children. But the assistance and friendship will also help the parents, teaching them skills and giving them confidence.
They're anxious, they want to do it, it's just they don't know how. Everybody pitches in and makes it work.
In between the hammering, sawing, and gluing, the locals got acquainted with the visitors. A crowd of little girls followed Brittany and me wherever we went. They loved looking at our curled hair, makeup, and clean-pressed safari clothes. In exchange, the visitors got a chance to experience the way people live along the Amazon.
This is hard. My pile doesn't seem to go away. His was all full over there.
It took the women hours to prepare and cook this turtle they caught. The women in Villa Maria spend most of their days working to feed the family. Once they became comfortable with their fair-skinned onlookers, they allowed them to help with their daily chores.
We helped a lady peel beans. She just had a room full of beans. She was just peeling them by herself, so we went in there and helped her. And then we just went around and played with the children and gave them some love. And I'm just touched. I'm emotional.
By U.S. standards, the people of Villa Maria don't have much, but the smiles and giggles reflect the joy they find in the simple pleasures of life.
And the attitude here is amazing. They're just happy for whatever you provide.
The volunteers who came here to give ended up taking something more valuable with them when they left. The laughter, the bright eyes, and the smiles makes it difficult to feel sad for them.
When you give of yourself, it makes you the happiest. So everybody needs to get involved.
I just think it's because this is so much more rewarding. It's better than paycheck. You get one every time you come.
Little children began working as young as 2 years old. Everyone in the village must contribute in order to have enough to eat.
Because they focus on survival, items such as barrettes become a prized possession. The Stone Sisters from Salt Lake City shared these gifts with their new friends.
We gave out barrettes, and even like the older ladies wanted barrettes in their hair as well as the little kids. And we put lip gloss on them and played games with them. We danced with them. It was fun.
The organization also works to improve the diet of the community by helping them plant crops that will grow well in this tropical climate.
My goal here today was to solidify our relationship as we work on this pilot project to grow new agricultural crops, and we were able to do that.
Peruvian native Pastor Relgorio lived in the United States for 2 years. He says life in Peru is much more difficult, especially in remote areas along the Amazon River.
The most of the people, they don't have like incomes because they don't work. I mean, they work like doing this, but they don't have a profession. If they have a profession, they don't find jobs.
By learning how to grow crops, the villagers will have food and hopefully make money through selling the items at the market.
Everybody that comes down says the same thing. I mean, we can't wait to come again because the people, you know, it's just a smile or something that touches them and they smile back, and everybody said, well, I'm going to go down and we're going to give them this and give them this. And they said, I thought that I was going to do more for them than they did for me. And then they go back and say, gee, they did so much for me.
While the volunteers built desks at the school, my student journalists collected information, and I taught them how to do what we call interactive stand-ups.
It takes 12 hours for local villagers to travel down the Amazon River to gather food and supplies in the nearest city.
You're memorizing it, so it's coming out a little memorized, but it needs to come out conversational. So this is how someone from the village must travel 12 hours down the Amazon River to the nearest city to get food and supplies.
Okay.
A journey someone from the village must take every day. That's the way that you would say it if you were just telling this.
As the time neared for us to leave, the women finished the feast for the visitors. They insisted that I try a piece of turtle meat, a taste I enjoyed, but later wished I had avoided. Many of the remote villages along the Amazon River connect to each other with a system of cement sidewalks. Some local teenagers spotted the group of gringos and took us for a ride through the rainforest that we will never forget.
scenery. That was neat. Motorcycle Amazon.
Oh, that was an adventure.
The whole time I was asking myself, is this covered under the university insurance? If they crash, am I going to be held personally liable?
Yes. I thought that too.
The whole ride I was thinking, okay,
See,
we
well,
don't
you
have
can take-
helmets on, but...
After a long day in the humid jungle, we landed at a place called the Heliconia Lodge, a true oasis in the middle of the rainforest. Mosquito netting sealed off most of the rooms in the lodge, where we ate good food, drank cold soda, and slept in these hammocks. Seeing out-of-the-way places like this makes journalism the best job in the world. In my professional career, I've traveled around the world, doing stories in the Middle East, Africa, China, Central and South America, and the Caribbean.
I'm Robert Walls on Grand Cayman Island.
I love my job. You learn something new every day and get paid for it. I love my family even more than my job. They support me in my adventures. Especially my wife, Michelle, a cute little brown-eyed gal I married about 25 years ago. She keeps everything going at home while I'm gone and supervises our 3 growing sons. So when I go on trips like this one and end up staying in a lodge that looks like a movie set, I find it best to downplay how much fun I'm having.
Hi, honey. This is awful. I can't believe how bad the circumstances are here. This is the worst trip I've ever been on. So glad that you chose not to come, because this would be miserable for you. This place, it's hell. It's hell on earth, that's what it is.
About 1.5 million people live in the city of Iquitos, Peru, the largest jungle city on the Amazon River. The economy boomed here when Goodyear harvested the rubber tree plants. The boom ended with the discovery of synthetic rubber, leaving a once proud city in a state of decline.
About 70% of the people who live in Iquitos work in the market in Belém. The successful merchants can earn about $5 a day, barely enough to survive on.
We spent a day in the marketplace, where people buy and sell everything from fresh fish to lucky snake heads, the equivalent of the rabbit's foot.
They say that the snake is good when you have like a business.
Yeah.
If you have a head of those in your business, you will have a lot of people coming to your business to buy a lot of stuff.
Each day, villagers from Belém come to this open market to buy food.
My students practice doing stand-ups as the locals crowded around to watch.
People come from villages all along the Amazon River.
Looking natural on television takes practice, such skills as walking and talking on camera.
You're kind of walking like this. and so just walk straight forward. One foot in front of the other and walk straight and step. Keep your hands down at your side.
Okay.
And making sure the tone of your delivery matches the mood of the story.
One more to do it without any smiling.
Okay.
Don't smile at all.
Okay.
The people who live in Iquitos have few jobs, little money, and a lack of adequate health care.
This is a problem for humanity, not for a country or for an ethnicity or a particular people, but for all of us. And we're going to have our consciousness raised to that level, and we'll take care of this problem.
We watched and took pictures as the volunteers we followed distributed an uncommon item in this part of the world, specially designed wheelchairs that bring the gift of mobility to those who've suffered for many years.
So should we just start handing them down? Yeah. All right, good.
Watching the people walk up to the clinic reminded me of a scripture I once read. It's when Jesus Christ said, "Have ye any that are sick among you? Bring them hither. Have ye any that are lame or blind or halt or maimed or leprous, or that are withered, or that are deaf, or that are afflicted in any manner? Bring them hither, and I will heal them, for I have compassion upon you."
place. It's incredible. This is the type of thing that I wanted to see when I came here.
As reporter Jody Tate found, the givers felt the heavenly healing power as much as those who received the man-made gifts.
They came to the clinic as best as they could, some with bent and twisted bodies, others suffering a lifetime of ailments and pains. The very old to the very young, all with one thing in common, the inability to walk.
I told her, go there, let's try. Maybe they give us a chair. So that's how we came.
Little Caroline Palomino contracted a virus from a parrot 6 years ago. Her legs don't work, neither does her mind. Provo Rotary Club President Dean Jackson lifted Caroline into a specially made wheelchair designed to bring mobility to her and relief to her parents.
We used to be suffering a lot carrying, our baby to take her out. But with wheelchair now, we can take her wherever we want.
The Hope Alliance ordered these chairs 6 months ago, but many people here today have waited a lifetime for this kind of opportunity.
Leaders of the Utah-based Hope Alliance consider Iquitos, Peru as one of the most remote locations in the world for wheelchair delivery. They shipped 300 of these specially designed wheelchairs from a factory in China across the ocean and up the Amazon River. But when the volunteers arrived with plans to give the humanitarian aid, the Peruvian government wouldn't release the chairs, unless the do-gooders from the United States paid an additional $9,000 import tax. It took 4 days to appease the government and get permission to hand out the chairs.
You can already sense everybody coming back alive, going, okay, they're here, this is why we're here, and it's just going to be great.
Everyone found a way to help. Some opened boxes, others assembled chairs or cleaned up the mess. It took most of the night, but the crew worked like little soldier ants to get everything set up.
Everybody on the team is kind of finding their own place. Everybody's doing a great job.
The sunrise over the Amazon brought a wave of mototaxis to the clinic in Iquitos, carrying men, women, and children, all hoping for something to make their lives better. With tears in their eyes, the volunteers gave away 280 of the wheelchairs they brought, watching despair turn into new hope.
I saw a man carry his father in for a wheelchair, and we put him in the wheelchair, and he turned around and gave me a big hug and kissed me, and I just broke down. It was just such a touching moment to me.
They seem to find happiness in everyday life. We should do that better.
No one understands the need more than John Hanrahan, the co-founder of the Hope Alliance. But every time he comes to Peru, he finds he doesn't have enough resources. Yet, as reporter Kimber Holt learned, Hanrahan had to almost lose his life in order to find it.
Hey, Steve, do you want to give me a hand putting people in chairs there?
A different kind of giving, a different type of work.
You spend the first half of your life making a success, and the second half of your life a life of significance. And so I guess that's what you get. You see these kids and the families and the impact you have, and it's just hard to walk away from it because it's so much more rewarding than just a job.
John Hanrahan did exactly that when he chose to live the significant portion of his life during his primetime years.
I started because of an experience like this, where you just see the need is huge, and we just had the ability at that time to create an organization that could bring people together and help the need here.
After a trip to Guatemala, John and a friend decided to quit their jobs and start a nonprofit humanitarian aid group called the Hope Alliance. Hanrahan left a successful medical practice in Park City, Utah, to pursue a job with less pay but more perks.
Most people think that it was more of a sacrifice than it really was. It was a financial sacrifice in the sense that, we had less income, but it's just the most rewarding job I've ever had. Mucho gusto, Pamela. ¿Y cómo se llama? Hani. Bueno.
As Hanrahan struggled to raise money and develop contacts in third world countries to make the Hope Alliance become a reality, he encountered a challenge he did not expect when doctors told him he had cancer.
It made me feel even more blessed to have the health care that I was able to get. If I had that problem in any of these villages or countries where we're working, that I wouldn't be here today because the health care just wouldn't have been there.
With the cancer in remission, Hanrahan set out to give the life he gained in the service of others. He finds working with the Hope Alliance brings rewards he didn't receive in his medical practice.
Material things and wealth does not necessarily define success, but having a life of significance where you're able to impact other people really does.
Kimber Holt, Iquitos, Peru.
Cars cost a lot of money, so most people in Iquitos get around in these three-wheel taxi cabs, an exciting and sometimes scary ride through town. The group rented a bus for the 3-hour trip to the ocean and the village of Barranca. My decision to eat the turtle meat left the teacher suffering on the bus and gave the journalism students a chance to go it on their own. In the meager town of Barranca, Brittany Wiscombe found optimistic children in desperate conditions who craved any educational tool that would lead them to a better life.
The school of Barranca consists of dried leaves and mud woven together. One of the village mothers told me, "We don't mind the dust in our eyes. If it rains, our houses will wash away." But hope for a better future makes the people here grateful for any help that will give the children of Barranca an education. The Hope Alliance spends part of its nonprofit earnings to buy backpacks, books, and other school supplies, something for children to do while their parents struggle to earn a living. But in the village of Barranca, work doesn't bring prosperity, only survival.
This school is designed for kids that are working, for the parents that are working in the fields here, so that they can provide for the families. The income is about $3 a day per worker. And so if the husband and wife work, they can earn about $6 a day, which means they can have a little better living.
These wide-eyed children waited a long time for this day to arrive. They knew the visitors would bring the things that their teachers say they need.
The little kids were so cute, and they seemed so happy and outgoing, and really honestly the feeling that we're really welcome and really appreciated. I think that's great.
They give each child a backpack, a hug, and a feeling of hope.
Poverty doesn't necessarily make for happiness or unhappiness any more than riches makes for happiness or unhappiness. It's having love, it's having security, and it's having hope.
The people in this village work as migrant farmers, living in a primitive setting, yet the only setting they have ever known. The shacks have open fire stoves, children and animals sleep side by side on the floor, and they seldom drink clean water.
We hope to improve conditions, maybe put a well in. They don't give them access to water. Right now they have to haul it for, they probably are using water just out of the irrigation ditches. So the parasite level is very high. So I know they want a well, they want improved sanitary conditions. She said they want to put in not only a school, but a public toilet. So that when they go to these facilities, another thing we could do is bring maybe some solar lighting so that in the evenings they could use the facility. Otherwise, there's not much here.
Posters wave in the breeze as the group walks away from the schoolhouse of Barranca. They know they will likely never see these children again. The next stop, the village of La Minca, another community in need.
Oh, 12. Let's put that over here.
Political complications require that a portion of the wheelchair shipment intended for La Minca go to people in Lima, the capital city. That means some of the children and adults here will have to wait. Dozens showed up at the schoolhouse for the disabled to receive a wheelchair, but only a few left with the new gift of mobility.
I saw him before and told him we'd bring him back a wheelchair, so he just was happy that we were able to keep our promise. And you know, that's always exciting to see him get the mobility the wheelchair brings him.
Bent planks of wood with loose, rusty wheels get discarded as volunteers lift children without the ability to walk into all-terrain wheelchairs.
We can't get them to walk, but we can certainly do the best we can at getting mobile.
There are two elderly folks who needed wheelchairs today, who both started crying as soon as they saw the wheelchairs come out of the box and knew that they were going to get one. That just made me start crying because they were so touched by it and so grateful for it.
About 50 left disappointed, but the villagers from La Minca have hope that the Americans will come back and fulfill the promises they made.
All worth it, and hopefully we'll have another 280 chairs that'll come within the next year. Yeah, I always wish you had more to share with them, but they're happy with whatever they get.
Brittany Wiscombe, La Minca, Peru.
We learned a lot in those 10 days about the people of Peru, about journalism, and about ourselves. The time together in Peru meant more to Jody and Brittany than I thought. They got engaged 2 weeks after we got home. Brittany Wiscombe and Jody Tate got married on April 14th in Salt Lake City, a great beginning to a forever friendship. Kimber jumped back into school and secured internships in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Park City, where she hosted a weekly ski report called Slopeside.
It is otherwise known as the king of snow tractors.
The stories Kimber did in Peru helped her win the Gracie Award, a national recognition for women in broadcast journalism. I eventually recovered from my bout with the turtle meat and soon met a new class of journalism students, eager to learn about the world and how to tell stories with words, pictures, and sounds.
This is hard. My pile doesn't seem to go away. His was all full over there.